Okay. So we have now these topics here. Last time we talked about the five concepts that can literally get your game rolled up here and change your perspective. We have like when to trade, which brings in the market session. Then we have the market structures. These are structures helping you now to understand the movement of price. We have support and resistance. Then we have the the time frames, the higher time frame to lower time frame. We spent like a whole 20 minutes explaining how the 4 hour looks, how the next 4 hour starts up and behaves by maybe waking up or waking down. Then we have the setup recognitions, the setup types, the playbook setups. We look at the onion, which is a trending setup. We looked at a breakout where now price has only two options, whether to trend or consolidate. Once it starts to consolidate, you have a breakout. You mark out the region and wait for a breakout. And those are the only two things. So we stopped at a fade opportunity, and now let's talk about the fade here. So the fade is a sometimes it can be a counter trend, but you get the fade at times happens and then it aligns with the daily movement, but it goes against the current 4 hour. So let's say let's start with the daily here. So pay attention. So let's say this is the daily here, you know. So the daily close bearish. Okay. So these are bearish candles. Then you know that the next day is just supposed to wake up and go down. Okay. All right. So let's say close that in. Let's see about it. So literally, this means that the daily started by maybe even when EV started by going down, but alternatively we had to come in from this topic. So these turning points upper daily is what you can experience like a fade on the 4 hour. So you see how this previous daily closed with a week, which means this was a 4 hour which closed bullish. So let's say you're now coming on the chart and you have, let's use the, the right color here. So, you get this concept. Then you can't have when the daily is conflicting with the 4 hour, what should we do? This is the only explanation to it. So this is the daily. Have it in mind that you want to be bearish, but you come to the chart, you have bullish candles here. Okay. So this is the 4 hour thing. So you get that for this daily to form a topos means that the 4 hours have to divide at some given level. Okay. So let's imagine now this one. Let's check it out. So the first thing is that this one here, closing bullish. Okay, you can literally even create this downward trend that brings this daily down so that doesn't create a huge confusion of what I'm saying. So let's say you are coming down to create that daily close. About candles and wicks. So do come. It's nothing weird here. So let's say even happened here. So we came down, then we formed Then the day ended with a 4 hour support here. Now this 4 hour support is what gives us this week on the day. Are we okay up to that level? The 4 hour coming down and closing bullish. These two candles create this week. Do you see that? Do you understand why it creates that week? Because there was a downward movement, then there was an upward movement. So leaving a week. Okay, so if you all understand that, let's go on here. So this is where now at times I go against the daily, I go against the bearish perspective because of this. If this new daily candle is opening up, where should we begin by going? Like literally, what should a candle do before it goes down?
Create a top wick.
Create a topic. So with that simple idea, I don't want to now to uh, do this. Okay, it's to create a topic. So we literally can go down here a little bit. We start by going down here on this daily. Just maybe now to give this 4 hour a bottom in here. Then we start now to come up to create a topic on the daily. And because we have a support on the 4 hour, you see us now looking for buy opportunity. Now, does this buy opportunity now make sense to you? The combination of a 4 hour support and we need a daily topic. Come on. Let me delete that. Oh, candle here. So it will look like a bullish candle here. Why are you now most people always confused when you see this? The daily is coming up. So and then we are looking for buy opportunities and you're saying the daily was there. Why are you looking for a buy position? Let's say this is Asia. We need now to make this topic and we see this the lower time frame have some clear path. We have a clean left and we have this 4 hour support. Now it's about probability. Just try to imagine you're waking up. The 4 hour has a support. The daily needs a topic. Will you engage in giving it a topic? I think the probability is so high here of going up instead of going down. Is it true?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a matter of what situation are you in. So if you're really not good at getting these ideas, like this idea, like giving a topic and a 4 hour support, and you look for a buy position. Let's say you're not so cool with that. Now I'm going to illustrate a fade now in this concept. So you will be looking at areas where the 4 hour will tap, or once we get a resistance on the 4 hour, which means you'll be so late on entry and then take a sell. Where now we have a daily creating a topic. So let's say here we had, now let me wrap this up a little bit. Let me expand this here. We have this panel here. So let's say to the left hand side we had like support areas, resistance areas, sorry, this way. You see? So the daily high is up here. So we have not yet taken the high, so we can create a steeper high here on this daily. And then maybe the next 4 hours still wants to come up. Okay? So we have this resistance to the left hand side here. So these are the places where we say now, can this 4 hour hit these levels? Okay, and start now to go down and even now continue with the daily trend. Can this 4 hour now start hitting those levels? and we continue with the daily trend. And now we have this daily candle having a steeper top wick. We never really took out the high of the previous candle and we start to sell this way. Okay, so you see now the interaction here. Uh, we are hitting these support levels here, but the 4 hour was bullish. But you have in mind that your daily is so bearish here. So this is the places where we look for fade opportunities here. But literally, it's like a fade in the same direction with the daily. A fade in terms of the previous 4 hours are bullish and you're starting to take a sell. But this sell literally makes sense because you have a daily that meets a top week and we have a great potential of it going down the rest of the day here. So let's talk about now that aspect, how we now take the sell opportunity here. So let's go back. The daily is coming up here. You're still looking for a sell because you don't like the buy, but those who take the buy understand why they are doing it. So we are coming up here. We still respect the highs of previous candles, yeah, and then you notice that a 4 hour maybe then goes up with no bottom, but it can even start by making a bottom. We go up and we start tapping this level. We mentioned about how a 4 hour is a strong time frame here. When we hit this target, there is a reaction that happens. It can, may, but most times is that you will get a signal if it's supposed to happen or not. And that signal is getting a confirmation on the lower time frame. Now this brings us to a lower time frame, let's say the 1 hour. Okay, stop 30 minutes, stop 15. All right, I will use this as the lower. So how do you now start taking this move here? Of course, now what at that level, what move are we looking for when price is at that level? Are we looking for a buy position or a sell position?
Sell. A sell position.
A
A
sell
sell
position.
position.
Okay, what structure is responsible for this sell position?
A resistance.
A resistance.
Okay, now what is really now we go down to the lower time frame. You see this marked area here, this marked area, the resistance level at the 4 hour. This area you have to go to the lower time frame and look for resistance levels around this time frame. Around this time frame unaona wapi a resistance area enye price iko so near. So this is a region, like it's not the specific line ati pali tu hii line iko ndio unaangalia kama kutaform a resistance. It's a whole region. Juu rejections unaona ili happen from an upward side. So it's a whole entire region here. So you come to the lower time frame, try to look for resistance areas to the left and in a representing zone. Then you wait for something like this. So this means there will be bullish candles also coming up on this lower time frame. Ndio, and tuna hit the same 4 hour level here. Then the one thing that I like to see at this area means when now we approach this level here, we get a candle that comes up, stretches up, and we get an inverted here. Okay, it's more of a resistance, but I like to call it an inverted celery this way, indicating that we have tried to go up and there is a rejection from a zone. So I see it like a rejection from this 4 hour zone. You see, especially when this happens and you have high volume. So here now you have your position entering in. You now want to participate because this is the confirmation candle that we are now starting to react. on this 4-hour zone. The reaction comes in with a confirmation candle this way. This guy pops up. You're there on the chart, and now we get a week up. We even touch this area again, and then we start now coming down. Okay? This way. This is a marvelous position at this area. So what will it look like on this 4-hour? Maybe it doesn't close. Maybe it's closing the next 1 hour. All those blah blah blah. But the issue is the reaction. So we will see this 1 hour, this 4-hour now starting to go down this way. Now you have taken a fed opportunity, an onion or an inverted celery. No matter the confirmation on the lower time frame, what you need is a confirmation on the lower time frame to start to make us think that we can go down. Okay? And then you don't have to think about it. This is where now people are debating. The thinking was already done before even this candle came in. You knew that you can react on this level. Now, alternatively, what is happening on the daily time frame here? We now see this candle coming and completing the mission that it was left to be here. We end up closing there. Now, see, how many opportunities did this day give? We were given the opportunity to take it to create a topic, which now, again, you are going against the daily. Now you are asking, why we buying? And the daily is so bad. We are buying because we have a 4-hour support and we need a topic on this daily. Can you give it? It's also a risk. You can say it's a risky move, but all moves are risky. Next, we hit this target and we start taking a sell, and you ask, why are we taking a sell and the 4 hours are bullish? We tell you, like the daily has completed making a topic, and we think the turning levels are this 4-hour resistance level. So we are looking for a resistance on the lower time frame to take a trade opportunities on this 4-hour to align with the daily. Is this so clear?
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. Now, what situation can you get yourself in? That's what you have to ask yourself every day when you're on the chat. Are we going to form a week? Have we formed a week? Are we going against the daily time frame? Are we going against the daily time frame? So it's not confusing. It's the reasoning behind that you need to find out. Why are people reasoning to give it a topic? Because we have a stronger 4-hour support. If the next one creates a week down and we start taking the high of the previous candle, I think we can form this topic with volume, of course. Then, once we start hitting those targets, can we get a trade opportunity to align with that day which was coming down? At times, this fade, it's not necessarily that we have to align with the day. Sometimes we take it and the day is so bullish and the 4-hour are so bullish. We take it just for some few minutes and then we continue the trend. These are trade opportunities that I like, the ones that are aligning with the daily time frame here. You know, this is a trade opportunity that aligns with the 4-hour here. And I think I have an example of a trading idea that I took off this here. Let's go through our data so that I can explain this. I think I can even locate it on the data here. So have this in mind. These are fed here. You take another, maybe a breakout or an onion to give this candle a topic. You take a fed to give it the continuation on the daily here. So all this combination, you have to have it in your mind. So you can delete this, then you look for this scenario here on the market. I want to explain to you how now I literally combined all those moves here. So it was this day here. You see this day, let's circle it and let's have a vertical line here. And we have what else can we mark here? Oh, we know what date it was, Tuesday. So we go to the day. So see, this is the day here. So I want to explain to you why we were looking for a sell and the day, the 4 hour was so bullish. So mark you, we were at resistance level here. The daily had a resistance. This candle was waking up, but we are still looking for a sell because we respected this high here. Okay, so let's mark this area and look what the 4 hour was doing, and we still took a sell here. So see, so this is the beginning of the day. This is the previous daily which closed bearish. These are the constitutive candles here. And then we start now giving a topic here. Remember this Asia, it literally took off with a sell idea here. You remember we were looking for sell ideas. We took a sell of a resistance and we were knocked out. I think the idea was this one here on the lower time frame. I literally even just remember the whole idea. It was here where we said I didn't wait for the break of this and the flip of the 4 hour, then it ended up going bullish. So look, the 4 hour now here. We are coming up, the 4 hour is so bullish here, but we are hitting these areas here, the left hand side. Okay, we are looking at these resistance areas here, and this where price came down. Here there is something like a gap, but here there is a very strong resistance that was here. Price came up and began to come down. That's the area that I was looking at. This area and this area here. So sometimes the targets will not be so direct, like in front of you, at like this resistance here, which you can see. Sometimes look left, at least a small, and look places where we had rampant or a depth like this one here, candles coming down. Look at the left side and see at what juncture did we get selling ideas here. And because we know that history repeats itself, you wait for the same caliber of confirmation at this area. So look, we are taking a sell, but it's when the target is being hit and the daily here is in our favor. This is a perfect example of what I have described. Do you see now the daily is bearish, but we are coming up, the 4 hours are bullish. We start taking the trade ideas. Now let me show you what was it in for me in the lower time frame. Now come. We talked about it's a region, it's an area. Okay? So it's not a specific pinpointed area. So I looked left and asked myself, how can we react on this area? You can wait here, you can wait on this resistance. You just look for any resistance that is near the trade around that area of the 4 hour. Okay? Then we get this guy. You see this rejection here from the upper side, and I was left to just do this. Take an entry there as we break the low, and my stops are up here. Yeah, I dwell in a drawdown for quite some time, but I knew eventually we'll get that push. We got that push. You see even how we ended up now closing the day there. We came down, 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 down. We also got some extra opportunities on these breakouts. We talked about this yesterday, where we now took this on the 30 minutes and inverted salary. And then we took this breakout. You see how one single day can have multiple advantages. Now we have this breakout, we take a breakout, then we come down here. Another breakout, you can't take the breakout. You have to wait for a new resistance, but you get this candle, an inverted salary here, a salary play, because you're going with the trend. The trend is because the daily is bearish here. Okay, then you take an impulsive here, stops above here, and you go down. So this is a perfect example of how a Fed can still be aligning with daily time frame. Okay. So, and the opposite is true when you're looking for a buy idea. So, any question about the idea that we have just talked about here? Okay, let me take it back. We see now. Um, uh, okay, this is it. Any question about this? This is the third idea that we are now talking about. The only hidden thing is that this target will not be, sometimes they are not so just where in front of your eyes. You have to look to the left hand side and look for a reason to sell. Is this on point? And the buy is true when you are hitting major resistance levels. Any question on this idea here? Let's try to think about it. So yeah, let's talk a bullish scenario. Sometimes you haitakuwa ikipelekana na daily, but this is a bonus when the Fed agrees with the daily. You can, hapa ndio unaweza hold on to that long move kama hiyo siku na get vile nilichukua that sell na nika hold on to it because of this daily. So you just look kama hiyo Fed in align with your daily perspective and you hold on to these long moves. You can secure at some different places as you go along just to see if your idea can really play out. So this is a sell scenario. Let's talk about a Fed in a bullish manner. So we are here now. We have the daily here now. Let's talk about your bulls. Okay. The previous day closed bulls here. And you know that high probabilities that you just need to wick down and start taking out the highs and we close with a bullish candle here. So the probability of closing bullish is so strong. So this candle leaving a wick means that there is somehow a 4-hour resistance. So we can just make this 4 hours that made that bullish candle this way. Okay, and then we are originating from maybe a resistance area here. This one leaves this week to the downward side. Okay, so let's say we have there, then we have candles that were coming up here. Okay, then we have another candle that is coming up here. So these, let's say there are 6 of them. Just imagine there are 6 to make that game. Then to leave this week, we have like something like a small cell here. But the overall bias is bullish. So let's say we are coming here. So we have woken up Asia. Now this candle is beginning to start by maybe pumping up a little bit and then we start coming down. So we have the daily starting to come down. What could it be coming down to do? Yeah.
To create a bottom wick.
Create a bottom wick. So like yeah, it's just obvious here. Because you know that we can respect this high and start going up. So the issue here is always at what levels can we start now to see that we are finished creating this lower wick here. This lower wick and we start to go up. Okay, so we do this now. Sasa hapa ndio unasikianga nikisema we may look for sell or wait for buy opportunity. Why? You are coming on the chart. You can clearly see that we have a resistance on the 4-hour. The candle started by wicking up, which means it's a new 4-hour wicking up, and we start now to take the loss. Okay? Now, you are asking, why are we taking a sell and the buy and the candle closed bullish? And I'm telling you, because of this resistance and creation of this week, and we are beginning to take out the low, and we have a clean left on the 4-hour. Let's help price to create a lower week. Just with a quick one. Let's just try to see if we can give it a quick sell. This is where now we get a resistance on the lower time frame and take an onion to come down. To take an onion to bring this 4-hour down here. But we are not yet talk about an onion right now. We want to look at the fade idea here. So we come down, you take advantage of this sell, and then you notice that on the left-hand side, we had like literally candles going up. Let's bring this one here. We had some price earlier on the left-hand side. We had price going up from a certain level. Okay, not necessarily this support. That's why I'm introducing these new candles here. So I don't want you now to think that it must be just straightforward to your eyes. Okay, so you see that hapa kulikuwa na upward movement. So, and you're seeing this 4-hour coming, and you have marked this movement to the left-hand side. Okay, and you're saying if we are bullish, okay, for the day, and the sales have already happened, you have to give it a bottom, because this is the low of the daily here, and you're here, na tuna respect hii fade ina happen before hata tukuje tutoe the loss here. So you're asking yourself, can this 4-hour hit this level? Okay, we start now rejecting this level and continue now buying. And the answer is probably yes. Okay, so I want now you to see this. We are coming down. Now you are confused. There were sellers initially. We took it because we wanted to give the candle a bottom. Now the 4-hour is bearish, but we are looking for a buy position, and we are there now asking again, why are we taking a buy and the 4-hour is bearish? Then now we have these support levels that we can react off, and then you now look for buy positions that in the long run will make this daily of ours just from that bottom week, and we start going up here. Okay, so what will you see on the lower time frame? What you will see on the lower time frame is this: a reaction of this zone. We just want to see a reaction on this specific zone. So this line will stretch into the lower time frame. Okay, then you look for support levels in the lower time frame enye kulikuwa na origin of buy places kama hii. You see these places where we have a continuous buying position. Around that area you may mark your 4-hour support level. Unatafuta an area like this and you wait for price to see how price reacts. So that area will be the same level na 4-hour support area. Then you notice that there are bearish candles coming down to, of course, illustrate this 4-hour selling down, which leaves a clean left. So this is maybe the 30 minutes. Then when you're just there, this happens. A candle goes down and then rejects and closes bullish like this. So you get this inverted or a support. You can call it a support or an inverted. So the inversion comes in when we have rejections from zones. That's when I call it an inverted. Okay. So you get a response from this specific area you get a confirmation candle, like a rejection. So indicating that maybe we are done now, we are starting to react to this area. That's when you now look for buy positions when the 4 hour is still looking like a sell, and you start taking buy positions here. You can record it as an onion, you can record it as an inverted celery because of this rejection from downward side. So this one becomes your confirmation candle, but the concept is us stuck in this area and you get a confirmation candle on that specific area. You know the entries and you know the stops. Okay. Now you get now the candle now starts going up. We continue just forming now the support. Let's say you never caught that move. The thing is that you wait for a next support to happen here. This we get now candles coming down and form another support. That's where we now stick to buy. After we realize we have already tapped targets on the 4 hour and there is no more selling. We continue now off. Other people now get an onion during London. You see, so the whole origin of the movement is from this 4 hour tapping this area. How will the 4 hour look? You will have like this candle rejecting of this area. We reject, it closes. Then a new one starts to come down this way. Maybe it's this one now. You see this movement down. We try to fill the wick, we get a support, and then you take a buy. We close bullish. Then the whole day ends up being bullish. We go up to the daily closes bullish. And that's how we have combined the whole daily idea to the 4 hour fade, the 4 hour onion, okay, inverted at this area, an onion and continuation. So this is clear again. Is this okay? You see how we can take a buy while the 4 hour is still bearish. And you see how we can take a sell while the other time frame are not looking, but we have reasons for doing that. That's all we are looking for. If you can have it, don't even ask or confirm. Just take those playbook setups. This is your whole life now. Coming looking for these examples. I call them examples. I'm never too serious about these movements. I'm never too serious about them. That's why maybe I even take these buys and sell effortlessly. So it's about your mindset here, because I just look at this. If I blow a funded account, I'm going on to the next, because I know, these setups are forever there. You can really enjoy this game when you have a personal account or you have a funded account when you imefika the money making point, because you could make a whole $200 in one move na ufunge story useme I'm just waiting for this withdrawal. You don't have to keep on taking trades. Unajua the evaluation stage inakudanganya the 10%, which is not the actual thing you will be doing when you have the real account. Utakuwa ukitafuta 1 or 2%, na ukijaribu visualize the evaluation stage imewekwa psychologically ikuweke hold on so long to the game, ndo it reduce your chances of winning. Sometimes it's so discouraging, this funded account, but if you understand the psychology behind it, you can reap money in the end. You have to endure, you have to like hold on a little bit, because making the 10% will not be something you can do, like especially if you're training at the beginning. May always just do it so slow. Some people say that they can do it so fast in a week or so. I have seen it. I have seen it with my brother also. He's like a very different trader from me. And we're just using the same concept. So it's more of, why should I waste times on evals? And I know only they just doing this setup over and over. But me again, I am like, I need to take it slow, because this is the same thing I will do. I will go slow when I am live on it. So it's what works with you. Find out what works with you. and go on and believe in yourself. You see, so I'm sharing ideas. I'm not giving you a clue on what you're supposed to do. Think about it, see how you can attack, but this is the ideas that you are doing. So the evaluation stage inakuwekea maneno ngumu like 10%, but in the actual sense, if you can surpass your whole journey na uweze kufika in a live account, then you'll be doing 1 or 2% getting a withdrawal. Maybe when you do it 3 times or 4 times, taking 1 or 2%, you can actually now say, maybe I take like 5% now. You just hold on to those profits. Then you say, yeah, let me take a couple of setups here to see how far I can go. But when you have a personal account, just try to imagine you can have a good week and you can withdraw that money that same day. You see? So that's the advantage of it. But this is the idea of the Fed. You all know the entries and the stop losses. Once you get those confirmation candles, the top wicks and the lower wicks are the entry and the stop loss. For an onion, you know this is the confirmation candle, the bullish candle here. So the entries is at the top and the stop loss below. For inverted celery, that candle, it has a top wick and a lower wick here. So you can literally know the entries and the stop. That's not much of a hassle. And then this was the last idea, the Fed. So at least you have gotten an idea about the Fed. Other times the Fed will not be agreeing with the daily. That's when it becomes so challenging. But yeah, if it hits those levels, you can try, and that's when we say now, don't hold on to that Fed so long because agree at another daily. And again, so you take that Fed, just a little pump and you're out for that reaction of that zone. Okay? And now have in mind about the overextension. These are the challenges now. Let's talk about the challenges of this trade opportunity. Now have in mind about this setup. Let's delete this part. Let's delete it. You can just wind it back. And bring that okay. Okay, let's take it back. Okay, this is the first error. We want this confirmation candle to happen around this area. The first error is when you get that fade has already happened. How? So you get that now we came down here, rejected off, but this candle came and closed bullish around that area. Anytime you know that you are far away from the zone that you are looking at, yeah, you can tell me, oh, blah, 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 we rejected, but I can tell you now, this one, what can really happen is, what's wrong with this setup now? Maybe I'm even talking about something that, can you take this setup and this was the observation zone and we reacted and formed that rejection? Yes, you can, but there is a probability that we can retrace problem. We want this candle to form this kind of a celery around this area, down here. You see, down. Ndio hiyo move isikuwa imeenda, so that that move should not look like it has already gone. We need it down here so that you can participate in the move. You see, but now this candle comes closes above this way to form that bottom wick. Yes, we get a reaction of it's like the reaction has already happened when we close somehow here on top. Now, how do we begin now to take a buy when it's so far away from this zone? So what happens is that we try to get into a buy, we retrace because of that overextension. Okay, and then what is this? Okay, let's see. We get an overextension, we come around this area. Let's form a support, a clear owner. So the patient traders are the ones who are always rewarded. So with the same concept about this area, you know about this area, and you form another support around that area. It leaves you now to say you can literally take a buy position. So you're taking an onion. You forfeit this one the first time and wait for this to reach down and take this onion and continue your buy. Okay? So that has to do something to do with patience there. You see how you miss on this move here? Yes, you are okay. You know that you traded, blah, blah, blah. But there's one thing that you missed out. The support from far away from the zone compared to this. It's just around this zone. Okay? So the only issue here is overextension from the zone. That's your common mistake that there. So if it has already found reacted to that zone, leave it, wait for a retracement, and wait for an action. Okay. Okay, perfecto. That is it. And that is it. That marks the end of the setup type. Okay. Yeah. And the same is with the cell. If you get the, you see the reaction has already happened. You have literally, if you didn't get it, most times it's like the 15 gave us a small support here that you didn't see. Maybe you were waiting on the 30 minutes to close. Yeah, blah, 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 but you can wait for it. Coming down, create another support to go up. Okay, so we have now the probability mind here as the last option now. Okay, we mentioned that now with all these setups, you have to literally have this mindset of probability. And how do you accept this mindset? You accept it by saying this. The win rate which you will be looking at, which you have to provide your brain with the evidence, you have to take data. Let's use maybe 70%. You just have to agree that this 70% was an assumption that, not an assumption is something that is not, not made research on. Or maybe, let's say, it was something out of 100 and 70 went on to be good. All right. So what does this mean? Let's get some feedback on the chat. What does something mean when you say 70%?
You lost 30 and you
Yeah.
got 70 out of the 100. The total was 100.
Yeah, the total was 100. India.
Yes.
So the whole mindset is accepting those 30 as still part of the game, you see? And it summarizes the whole probability mindset here. You don't have even to talk about it. You accepting the losses rather than reacting on them and focusing on a series of trades. So again, one thing we have to agree is the fact that you have to take a series of trades. There is no way you can be acting on a sample of 100 and you are taking only 2 trades. Now, how can we deduce a percentage only on 2 trades? Is it possible?
No, it is not.
No, we can all agree that you have to take several setups. So, and that's it. Now that brings in the consistency because you can't have all 100 trades in a single day. Yeah. Okay. So you have to show up to the table several times. And this is your exercise for the rest of the year, for the rest of, just try to think of yourself in 5 years, how mature you will be in the market. Isn't it amazing? If you put on the skill set consistently. Yeah, you can be really just a person who takes advantage of this move. Hmm? Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, that's it. What you have. That's it. Any question, any form of question? This is what I just wanted to talk about the state and the probability. We have talked about the probability more while here, so you understand this, and to be able to maintain this mindset for in the long run, and then get your emotions in check and exercise all these setup types. Okay, I think the sun is up now, so more people now waking up. You have to pretend like you are sleeping. Okay. Yes, you say that we are waking up together. It's the moment I'm waking up also, so that you I'll give you some time to go and pretend that you just woke up. Then uh, then now you see individuals on the road, you don't know what they were doing earlier on. So people have, you can literally create your own lifestyle here because they don't know what you are doing in the morning. But you're all the same, going to the same church, giving the same offering. All those other things are the same, but there is those things that will make you unique and those things that we are not doing that you are doing. Okay, that's it. That's all. Now, I think we call it a day here. I have a very good day here, but the temperatures are so high. Yeah, even reaching places where we have like 44 degrees. You see, 42, especially on Sunday. So you can't even get out of the house at times, but it's cool. Okay, so that's it. That summarizes our main topic. Let me just the recording and